Hey everyone, it's Matt Sherwood and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey with public speaking and how did I get into it, why did I try to get into it, and what I've learned from it, why it's important to me. And then hopefully, if I share my story with you, maybe I can inspire some of you to want to become better at public speaking. I do believe it is one of the most valuable tools that you have in order to be successful in life. And becoming good at public speaking has allowed me to do so many things that I've always wanted to do, and it's opened up a lot of doors for me and a lot of opportunities. But before I share my story, I did want to answer one question. Yes, this is a new shirt, and yes, it is yellow, and yes, it is bright. When I was 15 years old, I was in 8th grade, and I had to give a report in my science class. And this was one of my favorite classes. It was Mr. Carroll's class. If you're from Burlington, you might remember Mr. Carroll. And I had to give a report on Mars. It was actually a group report. I was with a couple of guys in my class. And I had to deliver an oral report in front of the class. And I had my piece of paper with the information I had to present. And I went up there with my two teammates. And in that class was one of the more beautiful girls in my grade that I quite fancied a lot, and she was sitting in the front row, and I think that alone made me nervous, and I realized that I started to have a little bit of insecure feelings. The two guys presented before me, and then when it came to be my turn, my knees were shaking and my hands were shaking, and at that point I realized, like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. And I totally freaked out. And I literally just handed the paper to my friends and I said, you guys do it. And I couldn't do it. I totally got blocked. So that was the first time in my life I had ever experienced stage fright. Up to that point, I was a pretty confident kid, loved to play, loved school, was good at school, didn't have any problems. But yeah, you're at that age where you're a teenager and insecurities start to creep in. And yeah, I couldn't do it. So that was a bit of a traumatic experience for me, and it ended up having a carryover effect into other areas of my life and my schoolwork. That experience stuck with me, and negative thoughts, negative experiences can be traumatic. So I remember about a week later, I was in my English class, and we just had to read a paragraph in a book or some whatever it was. And as it started to come to me, the people would read a paragraph and it started to come to me, and all of a sudden those feelings of anxiety and anxiousness started to well up inside of me. I felt my heart start racing. And yeah, sure, I was able to read the paragraph and get through it, but I just came to a point where I realized, okay, this sucks. This is not cool, and and I know this happens to a lot of people. At that time, I just didn't know what to do. But I knew that it was a problem. So I flashed to about a year later, and I'm in high school, freshman year of high school, and it still was affecting me, but I really didn't have to give a lot of presentations in front of class. So it wasn't really that big of a deal, but I knew I wanted to get over it. And my best friend at the time, John Gannon, was in student council, and I remember he told me, he said, hey, the only way that you're gonna get over this is you gotta do it. You know, you could get into student council, and we have to give speeches all the time in front of people. So maybe that's something that you could do, and you could use that to practice public speaking. And at that time, I wasn't really that interested in it, but I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll give it a shot. And at that time, I liked all the people that were in student council. I thought were pretty cool, and hey, my best friend was in there, so why not give it a shot? And actually, to run for student council, you have to give a speech in front of the entire class. So then the question was, what student council role am I going to run for? They had the typical president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and then they had, I think, maybe like 6 or 8 representatives, like class representatives. So that's what I figured I would run for. But at some point, John or someone had said to me, maybe you could run for something bigger. And at the time we had a class president, his name was Andy, and he was a great guy, and I think for all intents and purposes he was a good president. I don't remember him doing anything bad, but I just remember something inside of me said, you know what? Maybe I could do a pretty good job as class president, and maybe I should run for that. So in the end, I ran for class president, different than student council president, and I ended up winning. So I wrote a speech and performed it in front of the class, and I won. And then all of a sudden, that event, that speech, and that becoming a leader in my class opened up an incredible amount of doors for me. So being class president means that you get invited to a lot of high school leadership retreats and conferences and student government opportunities. And I remember I was invited to be the Massachusetts student delegate from Burlington to go to the State House and participate in these mock government experiences. And I got invited to the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Foundation retreat. It was a weekend retreat with all the other class presidents from all the high schools in Massachusetts, and that was a huge experience in my life. Very impactful, very inspirational and motivational. And I had to give speeches in front of my class often. So it became very common for me to speak in a group, and I realized that the fear, the anxiety went away. And then I realized, wait a minute, I like this. I like this leadership stuff. And it provided me so many opportunities to use my voice and have a say and a leadership role in the way that things were going in my community. It was incredible. And those feelings of anxiety were gone. It was almost like the sky's the limit, right? I can do anything now. And I was just invigorated, and this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed young high school student who wanted to conquer the world. So it was great. It opened up a ton of doors in my life. And when I got into the working world, I didn't have to do much presenting because I started off as a junior animator or a junior designer. And I really didn't do any public speaking that I can remember for probably a good 6 years after university. I just wasn't in a leadership role, and I just stopped doing it. The problem with public speaking is that it's almost like going to the gym or exercise. If you don't do it, you kind of lose it. I had a good foundation from all the speeches I had given in high school and all those speaking opportunities, but I stopped doing it and I got rusty. So when it came time for me to then have more of a leadership and a management role in my professional career and in the workplace, man, all of a sudden all those anxieties and all that nervousness came rushing back. So here I was again starting to feel the same feelings that I felt when I was in front of my science class when I was 15. And it sucked. And I realized, this is probably something that I need to figure out again. And I needed practice. So yeah, I kept, my professional career, I had some good presentations and I had some bad presentations. And if you've had a bad presentation, you know what I mean. It's really traumatic. And you don't feel your best. You tend to beat yourself up, and that negative experience can kind of stick with you, and then the next time you have to present, you start to feel nervous about it. You start to feel nervous a couple days before the event. So I realized I got to get over this, and someone that I was talking to at the time recommended Toastmasters. I highly, highly recommend Toastmasters. There are, I don't know, at one point I think there was 130,000 clubs worldwide. Toastmasters International, phenomenal organization. It's a nonprofit, and it's aimed at helping people get better at public speaking. It's a learn by doing workshop. So you sign up to become a member, and then you go to your club meetings, you practice in real time, giving speeches, giving impromptu speeches, providing evaluations for people in the club, and then performing club roles, so meeting roles. It's great. It's fantastic. And I found a new a new passion and hobby in life when I joined Toastmasters. This was back in 2010. And it was such a great community. It's like a family-friendly group of people that just want to work on their self-development, get over their fear, and become better at communication. And I firmly believe that every problem in life, every problem in business can be solved by better communication. Really, any problem. If you look at a business and you think, okay, what happened there? Their sales went down. You can almost always trace it back to some miscommunication on some level. Maybe if the profits were down, the marketing team didn't properly communicate to the product team what the demographic really wanted. Maybe the company wasn't communicating well enough with their customers, or maybe they weren't communicating well enough with their employees. One team wasn't communicating well enough with one other team. But I do believe that communication is the secret to every challenge that you have in your personal life and your work life. Communication is not something that most people study to the point where they become a master at it. Because everyone does it. We talk every single day in life and we just assume that we're good at it or that we're good enough at it. But if you want to be successful, there is an art and a science to communication that I believe if you learn and you master, you can be highly successful in life. When I joined Toastmasters, I started giving a lot of speeches and performing leadership roles in the club. And then all that practice made me a much better professional. So in the workplace, my anxiety over presenting started to go away and my confidence grew. So I was able to, practice a lot and apply those things that I learned in my career. And the result is that I turned a weakness into a strength. If public speaking is something that you feel is a weakness and something you dread or hate or fear, you too can turn it into a strength. The key is practice. You need to practice. It's just like strength training or running. The more you do it, the better you get at it, the stronger you get. But you need repetition. You need to do it on a regular basis to be really good at it. I actually really enjoy it. It becomes fun for me. I get excited about it. And no longer do I look at it with any sort of nervous feelings or anxious or negative feelings. I look at it as an opportunity. And it becomes, for me, it's almost like a thrilling thing. So I equate it to something like riding roller coasters where it's exciting and I know that, okay, if I have to give a presentation in front of a bunch of people, I'm not gonna die. It's gonna be fun, it's going to be exhilarating and exciting, and I actually get a burst of adrenaline from it. So I look at it now as an opportunity, a big opportunity to make some career advancement or network with people or expand my expertise or my network. So I look at it as a huge opportunity. And joining Toastmasters for me just introduced me to this whole other world of training and education that I never really realized was something I wanted to go into. So I work as a freelance art director, and that is mostly my bread and butter. I went to school to study computer graphics, so I'm an art director. That's what I do. But when I started to get into more public speaking, I realized that what I would love to do is help people get better at public speaking. And I've done that. I've done that for years in the Toastmasters organization, mentoring people, helping new members when they come into the club, helping them learn the ropes, learn how to do things, and teaching them and guiding them and being a mentor. But I also realized that I wanted to take it to the next level. I love helping people get better at speaking and find their confidence and find their voice. I love working with people that are really driven and passionate and determined to take their game to the next level. A few years ago, I started coaching and doing some training workshops of my own. And I realized, okay, I want to do things my way. I want to take this to the next level and provide coaching services and be a trainer for people that really want to get better. So in the past few years, I've expanded my business. I've taken on a lot more one-on-one coaching clients. I started working more and more doing private workshops and community workshops. So I'm currently working in Vietnam, working for a company called EIY Public Speaking. And we do corporate communication, we do corporate training, we do one-on-one training, we have various workplace communication courses that we teach. So I love working with people that really want to get better at speaking and communication and helping them take it to the next level. And that's what really excites me. I love being able to help people. I know what it feels like to be traumatized by public speaking and stage fright and the fear of being judged and standing up in front of people. I know what that's like. I've been there. And so if you're one of those people, I've walked in your shoes, and I can tell you it gets better. It gets better with practice and with time and experience and repetition. You really ought to have a good mentor, and that's something that's so important. You need someone to be able to be honest with you, and someone that can tell you what you do really well, but also what you need to do to improve. If you join Toastmasters, you should be assigned a mentor. I would encourage you to be proactive with working with that mentor. What I've seen with Toastmasters is that a lot of people get assigned a mentor and they never reach out to them, or they never develop a relationship with that mentor to where they really get value out of it. Most people are still a little bit afraid to push themselves and to reach out to that mentor, and mentors are busy. It's a volunteer organization, so oftentimes that mentor is not going to proactively reach out to you, so you have to reach out to them. But I highly recommend to try and work with someone, a mentor or a coach that you feel comfortable with, that can be honest with you. If you want to get better at speaking, you need to be honest about where you're at and what you do well and what you can improve on. I love working with people when it comes to speaking. That's why I started this YouTube channel. That's what I want to do, is I want to help you guys get better. I want to hear from you. I want to have a dialogue with you. I promise you, I am open and available to working with people. Please feel free to reach out to me, like this video, subscribe to my video, write a comment. What are some things that you want to hear about? What are some things that you are interested in or curious about? Right now, I am in the process of writing my own book about public speaking. I'm in the process of creating a set of videos, training videos for public speaking, and I'm actively trying to build up this channel with as much content as possible. So that's my story. I had a fear many years ago. It was a debilitating fear. It was traumatizing, and I realized that I wanted to turn a weakness into a strength. And I feel I've been able to do that. It's made dramatic improvements in my life. I love speaking now. I love the ability to use my voice and be a leader in the communities that I'm involved with. I think that if you become really good at public speaking, it can have so much improvement and so much of a positive effect in your life. It is one of the most challenging things for most people, and it's one of the things that holds people back from truly achieving their goals. No matter what you want to do in life, whether it's start your own business or have a voice in your community, you have to be able to speak. You have to be able to speak confidently, passionately, and persuasively. If you can do that, you can do really anything in this life that you want to do. I firmly believe that. So please, subscribe to my channel. Please like this video, and please tell me what you think of my videos and what you want to hear about. And I promise I will do my best to serve you. Okay? Thanks for visiting my channel. It's Matt Sherwood, and this is the Public Speaking Real Talk playlist. More coming soon.